Welcome to Chapter 9, Managing and Controlling Ethics Programs. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to define ethics auditing, identify the benefits and limitations of ethics auditing, examine the challenges of measuring non-financial performance, explore the stages of the ethics auditing process, understand the strategic role of the ethics audit. When you implement a program, your success is dependent upon the content of your code of ethics, the frequency and quality of the communication regarding that code and the program, the quality of your communication as a whole, your senior and local management's ability to successfully incorporate ethics into the organization. I mentioned in Chapter 8 about control mechanisms, and controls in business, you have formal, process, output controls. And in the formal control, that includes input controls such as your proper selection of employees and effective ethics training and strong structural systems. That's all the formal ways in which that you can start to ensure that your program has all of the inner workings to build upon to be successful. So if you are going through a process where you're pre-screening candidates for positions and you're going through a correct process of course, this is all tied with your human resource department, where you can properly align candidates who best complement and seem to have a connection with your corporate culture as a whole. They seem to be a good fit. That is how you can do that first rung of proper selection. Of course, I mentioned the effective ethics training. Chapter 8, we went into greater detail about how that training can be most effective in the creation and implementation. And then your strong structural systems is your ability to build those systems, to reinforce them, to continuously monitor them, and keep your employees well informed about the program and the systems as a whole. Your process controls are your commitment to the program and the methods or system that you use to evaluate ethics and the program. Your output is when you're going to compare your standards with what's actually taking place. What have you set the bar and what is actually happening? What are your employees actually doing? Are they aligning? Is there ethical behavior, or is there a lot of misconduct? That is how you control output. When you do an audit, you're doing an evaluation of your program and the performance to determine how effective it is. Your social audit is going to assess and report on your performance in fulfilling your responsibilities economically, legally, ethically, and philanthropically. And those are what is expected by your stakeholders, both internal and external. What are the benefits of this audit? You can detect misconduct before it becomes a major problem. You can understand the ethical culture in your organization, highlight trends, improve your learning as an organization, facilitate communication and working relationships, and improve your relationships with your stakeholders, internally and externally. You can also assess the effectiveness of your programs and policies, which improve your operating efficiencies and reduces cost. Information that you get from the audit can be used to ensure maximum impact with available resources. You can identify potential risk and liabilities and improve your compliance with the law. Here's some disasters that could take place when you don't have a strong, reinforced ethics program. The ability to follow recognizable phases of escalation, which includes your ethical issue recognition and your decision to act unethically, the discovery and response to the act. What's the time in which you discover it? when do you respond? How do you respond? And then what's the follow-up after that response? That could be devastating. And so your process of a recovery plan is to assess your values and develop your program, perform an audit, and develop your contingency plans, which is your plan B, C, D through Z. The what if plans and how we can resolve issues if plan A doesn't work. Table 9.3 provides you with a description of measurement tools. A balanced scorecard is how you take non-financial performance indicators and you incorporate them into an evaluation system to provide a balanced view of how your organization is performing. And the system uses 4 metrics: financial, internal business processes, learning, and growth, and customer, to measure your performance in all those areas so that you can see broadly how you're doing. And this was developed by Doctors Robert Kaplan and David Norton. This is a great way for you to see beyond your financial performance. It's great, you can see that, but what are you doing non-financially that can show you the health of your company? Six Sigma focuses on improving your existing processes that don't meet quality specifications or that need to be improved. So the goal is to reduce the defects in your products and strive for continual improvement. You're always looking at, okay, where can we do better? How can we make this product better, more efficient? How can we get less returns from customers? Your triple bottom line is looking at 3 P's: people, places, and planet. It's going to measure your social, financial, and environmental factors and the impact that you're having, and your responsibility to positively influence all your stakeholders, internally and externally. And there's a challenge in how you go about evaluating your impact socially, environmentally, since there's no universal standard. So you have to really put great thought into this and how you will measure your success in these areas. GRI is a global reporting initiative. It's a framework that has been used to report your social and sustainability progress, and it's used to as a mainstream of your disclosure on your performance in 3 areas: environmental, social, and governance. Businesses use it to develop a standardized method for reporting your non-financial results and providing a comparison with other companies' sustainability initiatives. So a person can then look at your company and see what you're doing positively to impact the environment, the community, and to make sure that you have checks and balances within your organization and you're complying with government regulations compared to another company. ISO 19600 and OCG, Open Compliance Ethics Groups. The first was published by the International Organization for Standardization to provide international guidelines for compliance management. And the second focuses on your compliance for all non-financial requirements. And it provides a qualitative, not a quantitative. It's dealing with interviews and provides the elements of internal controls. So it can go into greater detail that a report with numbers cannot. A report with numbers, if there's a question, where do you get the answer? With a qualitative report, it allows you to go even deeper. It can be more time consuming to create this report, but it can be very beneficial because it can allow you to ask follow-up questions and go deeper. Figure 9.1 shows you the structure of ISO, and you can see where it's all about plan, do, check, act, right? So you act, plan, do, check, all over, around, around, around. And you see where it has a focus on the context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. Figure 9.2 shows you the roles and functions of risk management and compliance. You see you have your legal, which is the federal sentencing guidelines. You have your human capital management, which are your people. Ethics, values, integrity, which is the core of your organization. Your inner control system, the mechanisms that you use to maintain and measure within your organization. Corporate governance, self-checking, but also making sure that you're complying with your external government regulations. Management, the day-to-day operations and the management of your other resources. And quality, making sure that the standards of the product and service that you provide is at or exceeds your standards and the expectations of your stakeholders. So there are some risk in ethical auditing. It does not ensure or assure that your risk and challenges can be avoided. It can be challenging to assess the risk and identify your standards. And it does, so it requires greater investment of time and other resources to go through this process. You can't just randomly select someone in your organization and say, hey, I want you to do an ethical audit. It does require some elbow grease, so to speak. There are some standards. Some minimum standards are constantly evolving, and it helps you set measurable and achievable targets for improvement. And they help you to form an objective foundation for reporting your efforts to internal stakeholders, which would be your investors, employees, the board of directors, so on and so forth. Table 9.4 is the framework for an ethics audit. Secure the commitment of top managers and board of directors. Establish a committee to oversee the ethics audit. Define scope of the audit process, including subject matter areas important to your audit. Review your mission, policies, goals, and objectives, and define your priorities ethically. What those ethical priorities are, not just the priorities of what's going to make us money fastest, right? And collect and analyze relevant information in each of your designated subject matter areas. Have your results verified by an independent agent, not someone within, and report your findings to an audit committee and, if approved, to your managers and stakeholders. Figure 9.4 shows you how misconduct declines as your ethics culture improves. When you have employees who observed misconduct within the past year, you can see at 88% you have a weak ethics culture. As that number of misconduct, the percentage drops, your strength increases. When you see how you're at 20% of misconduct reports, you then see a stronger culture. So you can see visually how that plays in. There's some strategic importance that is tied to the audit. It's not a control process to be used during a crisis. So it's supposed to be done regularly. You don't pull it into play when you have a sexual harassment case. It's something that just becomes the norm in your organization. And it can be comprehensive or very specific and provide an assessment of your overall ethical performance. And you can use the audit reports to identify and define your impact and facilitate important improvements so that you're constantly strengthening the ethical culture. You can help you boost your profits and help reduce risk as well. Remembering that the more ethical your company, the more your stakeholders trust you, and the stronger your relationship you have with your internal and external stakeholders, what happens is the morale is up, there's higher well-being, there's a greater sense of connectedness, and so productivity goes up, turnover goes down. When productivity goes up, turnover goes down. You have employees where you have fewer cases of time and resource theft. What happens is that people are then channeling all of their positive energy towards their work. Productivity goes up, customer service and customer satisfaction increases, customer sales increase, profits go up. Your risks are significantly reduced. As I said, turnover goes down, theft goes down, costs for insurance and things of that nature. If you're having to pay a bunch of through your company health plan, the healthier your employees are, the less they're going to doctors and hospitals for different things because they're not staying on top and they don't have the added stress. So much can factor in when you have a strong ethical culture. So that is it for chapter 9. If you have any other questions and you need me to elaborate, please email me. Thank you.